On this episode of the Psychic Jam, we're discussing hell.
You are listening to The Psychic Jam, a podcast that inspires holisticpreneurs like you to gain confidence, to learn, and to listen to your inner voice. Tune in as featured experts of the Psychic Associates discuss heavy and taboo topics, breaking down all the barriers of the realities of working in this industry.
Welcome back to the Psychic Jam. I am so excited today. We are talking about a topic that is a little touchy, to say the least. I'm joined today by my co-host Amber Price and Jay Lane, and we are going to be discussing all things hell. So we're literally going to hell today, guys. That's what's happening today. Okay, so all kidding aside, it's a sticky topic. Let's not, there's a lot of people who don't even want to talk about hell because it terrifies them. And the idea of what hell is and how it affects, people day to day, as psychic mediums, we have experienced quite a lot of connections with spirit who have experiences of what maybe that experience is hell, and or fears of hell. And that's more towards the client aspect. For me personally, I don't know about you guys. You may have more experience with that from spirit than I have. But for me, the experience of hell that I have seen and experienced with my connection with my spirit team is that hell is literally a place or an imagined fearful exception of what reality is. Okay, so if you believe that you're going through hell, you are right. You are going through hell. If you believe you're going to hell, then as I understand it, you're right. You're going to go to hell, but you're not going to hell in the biblical sense, in that brimstone and fire and the devil. Let's talk about him for just a quick second, because he was, after all, an archangel on God's team before he became who he is, Satan, the devil. And the reality is, I'm going to touch on this topic just briefly, and my intent is not to offend anybody. However, I hope I don't. But it's just my experience that in religion, certain specific religions will push you towards, if you misbehave in life, you will go to hell. That you will have to deal with the repercussions of your actions, and that repercussion, the action of those actions, is essentially hell. And so there's that belief, that fear, that if you do something bad in life, you're immediately going straight there. And I have spoken with my spirit team ad nauseum about this, because I don't know a soul on this planet that hasn't done something that they aren't proud of. There is, none of us are exempt from that. Whether we were 5 years old or 15 years old or 21 years old or whatever age group you were when you did something you weren't proud of. This is the human experience, as what my spirit team has explained it to me. The human experience is all about learning to grow vibrationally, emotionally, so that when we do finally make that pass from human to spirit again, and enter the kingdom of heaven, or the next dimension, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, based on your religious beliefs, we are vibrationally, taking it a little bit higher, because that's what the whole purpose of living is. So to experience positive and negative events, and to learn and grow from them, possibly to help and support others as a result of our learned lessons. So hell, for me, I've experienced things in my life that I would attribute to what I learned in my religion to be hell. But do I think that I've been in hell? No. Do I think I'm going to hell? No. But it is definitely a touchy subject, and one that, it can really do a number on people emotionally. And I guess my message today, for the purposes of this podcast, is to let you know my experience is that, it is the belief in something that makes it real. So you just have to shift your beliefs in this, that the devil is not, the devil survives and thrives on negative energy. So, if we want to call the devil something, it is literally negative energy. That's how I see it. That's my perspective. So I'm going to shift over to you, Jay, because I'm interested to hear what you have to say on this. And I love these topics because we really get a sense of what we've all learned, right, over the years. So go for it, Jay.
Oh my goodness, Liz, I'm telling you, that was so interesting, but I could totally relate to this because, I learned about hell when I was 9 years old. Somebody told me I was going to burn in hell. And that was pretty scary because I didn't want to burn, but I didn't know where hell was. And then I started thinking about Bugs Bunny because my mother had told me about this one little cartoon with the devil with a little, I don't know if you remember how. So I thought that was pretty funny. But then my mother explained to me, like, who said that to you? So when I told her, she says, oh my goodness, I don't want you thinking that. I said, well, someone said you do the work of the devil. And I didn't know what the devil was really at 9 years old. How are you supposed to know? So she explained a little bit. She says it's just the negative part of somebody and they just want to scare you and take away your energy. And that's what she had told me. So she says, don't even think about that. So I went on with my life, but growing up, I always felt that hell was really something that you made it. I work a lot in the paranormal and I work a lot with hauntings. And, some people say, well, my house is haunted. And you'll go to this house, but it's not the house that's haunted, it's the persons that's haunted. And they suffer quite a bit. Some of these people have really terrible negative experiences. They see things. They experience all kinds of different negative emotions. They have suicidal thoughts or different types of negative thoughts. A lot of people become very, very depressed and withdrawn. So when I go to a house, I try to determine if it's the house or the person. And more, as I get more into the paranormal and different things like that, I do believe that people's energy can reflect back to them in a negative way. Is that hell? Maybe that's a personal hell for someone because it's something so negative. Some people don't even want to live through it. They'd rather be dead. And so for me, that constitutes hell. When you think that your life is so terrible here that you don't want to live it anymore, or people that have, post-traumatic stress disorder, who have delusion of the most terrible things. I know that somebody in my family is very sick and has terrible delusion, and they see all kinds of terrible things. And they think that these things are really happening to them. And of course, we don't see the same thing that this person may be experiencing, but I can't even imagine that being very pleasant if it's so disturbing that they have to go to a facility to get medical attention because it's so terrible. Another thing, people with schizophrenia, they have too much dopamine in the brain. They have this imagination that comes to light. So we may imagine it, think we're daydreaming. These people are actually seeing these things. I remember sitting in a restaurant where a woman said, oh my God, you have to get away from that table. There's snakes all over it. And I looked at the table and there were no snakes, but her visual was that I had snakes all over my table and she was trying to help me. And I felt so terribly for this woman. The other thing I always felt that hell was also, as a personal thing, is that those without a belief system, my father was like this. My father used to think he was going to die, go in a box, rot, and that was it. That was it. And so I always imagined his afterlife being so closed and so small when he first died, because I thought, wow, he doesn't have a belief in the light. I wonder if he's gotten to the light. I wonder if he's had any of these experiences. It didn't take me very long to actually feel my father. But what was interesting about that is that my father, although loved what my mother did, because she used tea leaves to do her readings. My mother was a practicing psychic in the 60s right through to the 80s. He really had difficulties accepting that this was actually something someone could do on their own. Not, he thought they could do it with tools, but without tools. So when I would talk about my emotions and what I was seeing or feeling, he shunned on that right away and told me, you can't be doing that. You're going to end up having some problems. You need to use something to do your readings, because otherwise people are going to think that you're doing the work of the devil again. And I'm thinking, wow, this keeps on coming back to me. But I know that that's not what I do. I think that hell is really a personal thing, as you've mentioned, Liz, and that, you know, some people just need medical help when it comes to this. I mean, I can't even imagine some poor person having these types of delusion and what they must go through emotionally, physically, mentally, and how their lives are affected. I mean, I see people out on the streets that have nothing, that have so many problems, but they can't help themselves. And of course, you know, the system is difficult out there, medical system, especially through COVID and during COVID, it's been, you know, less and less accessible for so many people. And then, of course, with everything that's gone on with us in the last few years, a lot of people feel that they can't do much, or they feel restricted, and they feel like they're going through hell. And so the thing is, I believe hell could be just what you make it in your life. And some people are not motivated to change their lives. They're not motivated to, you know, just to reach out to somebody and to get that help, or to go on medication because they're afraid. I mean, there's so many people out there that are lost, even though they're living their lives, they're lost souls, you know? So that's my kind of pick on hell, my take on it, I should say. And I just really believe that we could change that perception for so many people through the work we do. It's all about educating people and letting them know that really it's a perception of their own imagination and their fears, because fear has a big take on that as well. People fear what they don't know. And it's just like, you know, people are afraid to die because they don't know what's going to happen after they die. Well, it's the same thing with demons or devils or hell. They don't know if there's one because they've never been dead before. So they're afraid that they're going to go to hell. But I really don't believe that there's a physical hell. About religion, I'm not sure about that. I try to kind of stay away from that because I have the utmost respect, as you do, Liz, for all kinds of denominations. Actually, my brother's a chaplain, and I helped him with his thesis when he was doing his theology studies in London. And I learned a lot about purgatory and hell. But again, his discussions with me, a lot of the personal hells are the alcohol, the drugs, the self-abuse, and that's what he works with. And so I've seen a lot of people in their own personal hell through these experiences as well, in the way he helps them. But there is light at the end of all that. And if you really reach out to help these people, or if these people reach out to get help, I know that that could personally change for them. You know, Amber, it's a deep subject, but what are your thoughts around it?
Thanks, Jay, for sharing your personal experience with us, because, you know, that's definitely something that is unique to you and how you've experienced, you know, someone else's version of hell or your own version of hell. So thank you for sharing that with us. You know, I was thinking about when you were talking about the snakes at the table. First of all, you know, we don't use the word snake here. But you know, the thing that popped into my mind was, what's the difference between that person's vision and reality than, let's say, me doing a psychic reading and saying, oh, I can see color all around you, or I can see a dog sitting beside you, or I can see your dad standing behind you. And I think it's good to note that in those two experiences, I know the difference between that I'm getting a vision, or I'm having an apparition, or I'm connecting with energy, versus I can't tell the difference between if this is happening or not happening, or energy or not energy. So I think that's what sparked to mind when you were saying that, was because I know people think that if they can connect to spirit or do what we do, that it is a form of hell. We're seeing things we're not supposed to be seeing, said some people. I don't feel that way, just as you two don't. I feel like I'm very aware of when it's happening, how it's happening, when it's happening, and I have complete control over if it's going to happen or not. So I find solace in that, knowing that, you know, it's not something that I'm having, that I can't differentiate between reality and energy, or that I don't have control over saying, yes, this is happening to me, or no, it's not. Now, when I first started connecting to energy, I didn't know how to empower myself that way. And that's part of why I'm here today, wanting to teach and to be able to help other people learn their abilities and learn their power that they have within that. I also know that the energy I'm connecting with, I always use for the highest good. So I'm always going to have the gatekeepers and the angels and guides on my spiritual team helping me connect to the energy that is from like an energy layer or realm of light or higher vibration. Having said that, I believe that, you know, the energy of the universe and the universal laws say everything needs to be in balance. Meaning I believe and work in this energy of light and high vibration. I also understand and know there is an energy of lower vibration and dark, but there is the respect for both. And as I'm working as a psychic medium, I respect both. I don't engage or want to connect with lower vibration energy. So I have a very good routine and a very good spiritual team that helps me do that, so that it doesn't come in. Now, what does that look like? What does that hell look like in my world as a psychic medium? It looks like when I'm connecting to somebody's loved one for high vibrational energy exchange, I'm feeling love, I'm feeling joy, I'm feeling forgiveness and happiness and warmth, and I can feel all the good feels that we have as humans. In the energy vibration that I would say could be considered a sense of hell, I would get coldness, darkness, aloofness. I would get detachment. I would get fear, worry, stress, anxiety, even paralysis. There's things that could potentially give us all the low vibration energies. Now, you know, one of the things that I was asked was, do you do you connect to the energy of hell, or the low vibrations, or the demons, or the energies that come and haunt you, you know, the lost souls, or the, you know, whatevers you want to call it. There's so many different terms, but my energy doesn't vibrate that way. So it's harder for them to connect to me. It's harder for me to make a connection there, because my energy vibration is always so high, and I clean it and I make sure it's grounded. They don't like that. They don't like that. The energy doesn't like that. So what I'm saying is, yes, I can understand, as working as a psychic medium, there's an energy of hell and there's an energy of heaven. But in my terms, it's light and darkness, or it's high vibration and low vibration. And I don't welcome any of those low vibrations into my energy. And I teach my family and friends and loved ones that it's important to do your self-care, do your grounding, make sure that you're aware that you do need to stay in somewhat of a higher vibration energy, or have the skills and strategies available to you, or know who to reach out to if you're feeling like you're being beaten down. Because let's be honest, I mean, right now there are a lot of people out there that have been sick, or scared, or job loss, or relationships ending, or abuse, neglect, whatever, famine. There's so many reasons why somebody's vibration can lower. And those are the energies we want to continue to nurture and continue to help, because they're the ones that could experience hell in their own way, as their own perception of hell, easier. So somebody who is sick might experience hell to them as treatments, or no cure, or the symptoms, or death. And somebody who is in a higher vibration might see the illness as, okay, I have a treatment, I have a plan, there's something available, I have information at my fingertips, I have support systems, I have healthcare available to me. And both people are experiencing the same or similar things, but one person's perception of this experience, like we've said, will take them into the realm of, oh my God, this is hell, or thank God someone's watching over me. I use thank God very loosely here, but there's a sense of identifying with the energy that you believe to be true. And you can't trick yourself either. You're either in high vibration energy and everything aligns to you in that way, or you're not. You can't trick yourself into believing you are in one way or the other, because your energy knows and the universe is attracted to that. So that's my sense of, as working as a psychic medium, the difference between energies of heaven or hell. Now, it's funny because when we, as I talk to, let's say, my husband, he always says, oh, I'm fighting my demons or something. And he says it in a way that he's discussing the things that bother him, right? So his challenges or his lessons that he has to learn. And it's something that a lot of people say, I'm fighting my demons. So in terms of, somebody perceiving hell in their life, they will perceive their challenges or the things that are causing them problems or discomfort or sadness or anger as being a demon. And when that happens, I always encourage us to not bring that energy to life. Do not feed that. Do not allow that person, place, or thing or challenge to have a life of its own and become something that's a demon, something that, although it is, like my husband never backs down from anything and he overcomes everything. It's just his slang of saying this when we know we're dealing with something. But there's other people who believe that that will come bigger than them, and it does become bigger than them. And then they are in their own hell because of it. But it is giving that thing energy and giving it a low vibration energy attachment that creates more experiences that will align to your idea of hell. So, and on a last note, I have worked with clients who have been dying, and before death, I have heard multiple things. Most of it is about somebody hoping what heaven will look like when they cross over, and they have created this version of it. And to my honor, I was able to go back later and I was speaking to a family member. And in some cases, I don't even know they're the family member of this particular person. And I have said, wow, they're saying you should see this place. It's everything that they thought. They can hear music. They can drink their coffee. They can see their loved ones. And it was everything they thought. And then there's other people who are dying and very fearful that they're going to go to hell because of what they've done. Like Jay was mentioning, is that they think they're going to go to hell. So then they create that, or that's where they think they're going to go. But it is such an intentional thing that as soon as that soul believes they're worthy of something else, or that there is something else available, there's like this shift of energy. And in an instant, they've gone from looking at all the things they believe were hell. Maybe that looks like a dark place, or no trees, or coldness, or there's no people, or no one's talking to each other, to wait a second, I don't deserve this, or I forgive myself, or maybe through mediumship, the living person has forgiven them and now they forgive themselves. And in an instant, they're in the light, or they're in the trees, or whatever they believe heaven to be. So our soul has a big influence on if we put ourselves in hell or heaven or light or dark or high vibration, low vibration. And it is a lot of the opportunity for us to work this out as we are living right now. So going through the lessons and not giving up and not feeling frustrated about one bad thing happening after another, because that does happen to us. But in your lens of perception, it will help you deal with how you're going to deal with it, so that when you come to the moment that you're ready to go from human flesh form to spirit energy form, you're giving yourself the best version of your reality through the length of time that you have your soul and you're experiencing heaven or hell, or light or darkness. So that's my experience as working as a psychic medium.
Love it, Amber. Love it. I guess in a synopsis of this entire topic, we all kind of see it the same way. It's an energy thing. and hell is what we think it is. And, one of the interesting things that I just want to kind of share to cap this conversation off, at many of the conversations around this with my spirit team, they kind of explained it to me this way, that, as we grow as humans and we have our life experience, by the time it comes to returning home, which we'll call heaven, the body is left behind, which we're all very familiar with, right? We leave the body behind and the soul, spirit leaves the body. But it's the mind or any part of the body that, is connected to the living experience that is corrupt. And so that the mind believes in, something negative or carries something tragic or something, that causes pain or frustration to the soul. That's left behind. The soul is pure and free of any ailments that the body had, and the mind is part of the body. So, for everyone who still has the belief system that, yes, I might be going to hell because I did this terrible thing, or, I've been told that I'm going to hell. Like, can you imagine, Jay? Think of how many people that are light workers today that have been told you're evil. I mean, I've been told that by, specifically religious sect people, and we get attention, this negative attention, unfortunately, because their belief system is that we are taking advantage of people. And I can understand and appreciate, where they're coming from, because they've obviously been in their lifetime taken advantage of. So I appreciate, and I don't hold them accountable for their belief systems. However, there will be some light workers out there listening to this podcast right now who have been told that and are terrified to work in this industry or to work with their gifts. Let's just say work with their gifts, because they believe that there's some kind of, on some level, an evil connotation to it. And I'm here to tell you, well, from my personal experience, that is simply not the case. This is light work. We are spreading light and love. So, when we can work with, tens of thousands of people collectively, the three of us, and support humans and their souls and their journey, I can't see how that's a darkness. I just can't see how that's a darkness. We do too much good, and we have too much evidence of that, right, ladies? We have way too much evidence that what we're doing is good. So for those of you who are suffering from a belief system like that, just know that that's not the case. If you are terrified of dying because of that experience, that you may have done something poorly and you believe that there is a hell or Satan or whatever, understand the three of us have explained it, that it's an energy thing. It's not a real, place or thing that you're going to have to deal with. You deal with it now and you don't have to deal with it later. But that's the case for most things in life. If you deal with it now and don't put it off, you get through it a lot faster. That's my advice anyway. So on that note, I'm going to wrap this session up. And, if you have any other questions concerning anything of the metaphysical, check us out over at thepsychicassociates.com. We cover a lot of those areas and support in this area. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Psychic Jam. Please share if you liked our podcast. For more information on our services, or if you'd like to be listed on our directory, please visit thepsychicassociates.com.